Hey everyone, it's that math magician. On this video, we're going to take a look at inequalities one more time, and we're going to see, can we graph an inequality? Another example for you to see just how our line is created from our linear inequality. So let's go ahead and jump right into an example where I have the linear inequality y is less than negative 2/3 x plus 3. And we want to create a graph for that inequality. Well, the two things we're going to need from this graph is we need to figure out our starting point, and we're going to need to figure out what our slope is. And I've highlighted those two key pieces of information for us. Remember, we're just graphing a line. Hopefully review at this point for you. 3, the positive 3 there at the very end, that is my starting point. So on my axis here, I know I go up on the y. I'm going up to positive 3. I make my point there. That's where the graph starts. Now my slope is negative 2 over 3. Remember, that's the change in y over the change in x. So since it's negative 2, that means I got to go down 2 to the right 3. Over and over and over again from that point. So let's do it. Down 2 over 3, make a point. Down 2 over 3, make a point. Down 2 over 3, make another point. Again, do this for about 4 to 5 points. Once you have that up, get your straight edge ruler. You want to line those up in a line so that you can connect all those dots together. And now we see we have formed our line for this inequality. Right there, that blue line represents this inequality. Now we have to pause and we need to make sure we make an adjustment. Because if you notice on this inequality here, it says that y is less than that line. Y is less than. It does not say that y is less than or equal to. Okay, so what that actually means is that since it's missing the equal sign, it means that the points on that line actually do not satisfy this inequality. It'll end up making a false statement if I try substituting a point from that line into the inequality. And if you don't believe me, let's go ahead and try that out. Let's look at this point right here. This point here is 3, 1. That is on the line. So let's take that point 3, 1 and let's throw it into our inequality. We'll go ahead and change the y value to be a 1. We'll have negative 2/3 times the x value. Well, the x value there is 3. Again, we're looking at this point here, 3, 1. And we know we're going to add 3 to that once we finish it. Well, let's see. I have 1 less than negative 2/3 times 3. I think those 3's end up canceling, so I'm left with negative 2 plus 3. And negative 2 plus 3, that creates a 1. Look at this statement that we end up with. 1 is less than 1? That is not true. 1 is equal to 1. 1 is not less than 1. So do you see here that we have created a false statement? It is a false statement because there is no equal sign underneath that inequality. Had there been less than or equal to, then we could have given this a green check mark. We know the point on that line works. But because there's no equal sign, we create a false statement. So that means any of the points on the line do not work. It does not work. It does not satisfy our inequality here. So that means we need to adjust our line. And to adjust it, what we do is we create this line as a dashed line. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to erase some of that to show you that the line for this inequality has to be dashed because there is no equal sign in our inequality. So be careful as you're working through classwork, homework problems, on a quiz or on a test. If you're asked to graph an inequality, if there's no equal sign, you have a dashed line. If there is an equal sign, then you will have a solid line. Alrighty, we're almost done with this example now. So it says less than. If I have that line and all the values less than the line work, well, that means I need to shade below the line. Remember, less than you shade below, greater than you shade above. So we know since this is less than, that I'm going to go ahead and shade in all of the parts of this graph that are underneath my dashed line. Remember, it is a dashed line because it does not have an equal sign. So we know all the points below the line are going to satisfy this inequality. And we also know that the points on the line won't work. They won't work. We saw it right there. The very last thing we have to do now is we need to test a point. We need to test a point in our shaded region to double check that we did shade correctly. Again, you want to pick the easiest point that you can pick. Well, if I'm looking there, the easiest point underneath that line looks to me to be 0, 0. So I'm going to take that point of 0, 0. I'm going to plug it into this inequality, and hopefully I end up with a true statement. So let's go ahead and plug that in. The y is going to change to 0, less than negative 2/3 times my x, which is 0, plus 3. Well, 0 times negative 2/3, that's all going to cancel away. So I'm left with 0 is less than 0 plus 3, not 2. And 0 plus 3, that value is 3. So looking at that final statement, 0 is less than 3, that is a true statement. I can put a little green check mark next to it. That tells me that we shaded correctly. Had this come out as a false statement, then we know that we had shaded incorrectly. But we're good. Green check mark means we shaded correctly. The big twist for this problem, gotta remember, if there's no equal sign, that line has to be dashed. It's that math magician, and I'll see you on the next video.